Definitely go stream my music on all platforms. That was just a little teaser if you didn't know that already. Hi, I'm Tiona Zach. This is Talks with T, and we're just going to get right into it. So last week I was talking about risks, and a lot of people gave me really good feedback. They loved it. And so I kind of wanted to keep up with kind of giving specific topics as I do podcasts by myself. And so this week, I really want to talk about boundaries. Ooh, that's a good one. Because growing up in a Russian household, we had none. That's just how we were. So I want to just, again, talk about my story, talk about where I go with this, and then just give a little bit of advice from what I've learned. So growing up, I, again, was raised in a Russian Georgian household. And the way immigrants think is very like, you know, even if there's a problem, there's no problem. You keep going. Like my mom was the type of person that you can't complain because did you like live through the Cold War? So my mom was very like, it was good and bad. I mean, growing up, you know, there were no limits for us. As kids, we really truly believed that we could do anything. My mom supported everything. And so to a certain extent, but my mom definitely like, she didn't want you to complain. We did not complain. We were people that if we were going to do something, we were going to do it. And, you know, with that, there was just, you had to be confident in what you did. And that's a good thing. But then there was also things that there were no boundaries in what and how I was raised. So again, you can say something and it wouldn't be seen as a problem. Like, oh no, like that was a joke or this was this. And I think growing up, that really caught up to me because I started looking at people, whether it was relationships with boys or if it was like friendships, I looked at it as if I needed to please everyone. I felt like I owed everyone everything. And like that boundary for myself, it didn't exist because the way I was raised is you know, you keep giving and you give everyone your all. And it did like catch up to me. I really had to work on that. And so as I was getting older, I even saw boundaries when it came to my worth because a lot of the things I was just like, oh, well, I have to have a certain image. There was no boundaries like of what I had to show. And it wasn't until I was around 14, I want to say maybe, I started seeing things that were like red flags, like, oh, I do that because of this, or that's not okay. And it really taught me, and I still struggle with this all the time. Like I always say this, it's not a destination, it's a journey. And I struggle with it. I have to constantly remind myself, like, there has to be boundaries because, you know, again, when I was growing up, it was almost inflicted like even if someone does bad, you still be the bigger person, you still be, you know, kind. And it was almost as if we ignored what someone did wrong to us and just kept going because, you know, they're sorry. So it was more of like, but who's being held accountable? Because actions do have consequences. Actions do have to be accountable for. And it wasn't until I was getting older that I realized that because I started seeing, you know, when I was, again, like 14, 15, I was like accepting things that weren't okay. And it caught on to me. And I just remember Christopher Flynn, if you're watching this, you taught this well for me. He's like a father to me. And he was the one that told me, like, it's okay to let go of people or move forward or keep people accountable because at the end of the day, you're human. You have feelings. And and his wife Jenna also, we talked about this, told me one time, and it stuck with me, is like, when you allow someone to treat you a certain way and you don't set boundaries, you're allowing them to think that their actions are okay. And so boundaries are so important, and it's very easy to kind of feel bad for your boundaries, but when you set them, there's a peace within yourself. And there's like I wrote down some things that helped me, was like, when you set your boundaries, like when I was doing it, I found that the decisions that I was making potentially would wound other people, because again, it is your life and not everyone's going to see it the way you see it, or not everyone's going to agree with it. So of course you're going to have people that are like, no, like, some people could just straight up gaslight you, but there's going to be people in your life that, oh no, you're wrong for feeling a certain way, for setting a boundary, for saying these things. But, you know, I always say, like, you can't heal in an environment that hurt you. How do you heal? You have to set that boundary. You're going to have to make that very clear, because if you want to grow as a person, you're going to have to let go of things that don't serve you anymore. And sometimes those things could be good things, but they don't serve you anymore. God opens a door for us, and when we want to walk through that door, we're going to have to let go of things too. It's just, you know, sometimes God's plan is to put us in a season where the things that we're in now don't serve us. And that's a hard reality. That's a hard truth to swallow, like a hard pill to swallow, because it's not easy. It's not easy when you have to constantly, you know, I've had close people in my life that I thought were going to be in my life forever. I've had relationships that I genuinely thought, like, this is going to be the one. And they didn't serve me anymore. And, you know, people change, and you have to set a boundary, because if you want to grow as a person, you know, like I said, you can't heal in a place that hurt you. And I've tried many times to justify, but I see the best in them, or they're this close to me, and this is that. And it's something I had to sit there and be like, but do I want my best, or do I want God's best? Because obviously my best ain't good enough. And another thing that came with seasons is, like, some people are meant to be in your life for a certain season, and they're always going to teach you. I don't believe that, you know, just because you didn't set the boundary right away, or you're just learning to set a boundary, like, just because you go through something with someone, it doesn't mean like they don't, like, God uses everything that was meant for evil is meant for good. And so no matter what you find yourself, you're going to constantly see, oh, that's why that happened. That's why that person came in my life. And every opportunity is for you to grow as a person. You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. I'm going to say that again, whoever needs to hear that. Like, you're not required to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. I've done that many times. I felt like I could change people. I feel like I could be the person they need. And it's not your job. It's not your place. Only God can do that. And you got to let go. You got to just move forward. You got to do what you can do and just move forward. Because when you set that boundary of, like, knowing, like, I can't do that, I'm not going to let, you know, your issues be mine. Because it's one thing to be there and show grace and show empathy, but you're not a doormat. Like, at the end of the day, you also have to realize that whatever you're taking on is your piece. And you have to be your best self to be able to give love. And if someone is constantly taking that, you're never going to grow. You're going to be stuck in this. Like, I found myself anxious, crying, tired. I was tired of pleasing everyone. I was tired of, like, not putting a boundary and just, like, being like whatever anyone needed me to be. And that was burning me out. And I had to really sit back. I had to really evaluate, one, how is this person talking into my life? 2, how is this person making me feel? 3, is this person growing me? Because you know what? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're not in the right room. And that's another thing. Like the people around me, don't get me wrong, I'm loud, I'm crazy. I love people. Like I always, like my friends make fun of me because my social battery just like rarely runs out. But I had to also see who is in my circle. Who is it that's pouring like goodness into me? Because when you're constantly being the one that's pouring and pouring and pouring, like you're gonna burn out. And I saw that it was affecting mentally everything that was going on. Because again, when there's no boundaries, people could say whatever they want. Oh, I'm just giving you that advice. Oh, I'm just helping you and benefiting you. But like grace without truth is meaningless. Truth without grace is just mean. And I constantly saw people in my life treating me like a doormat. And I had to really sit there and be like, no, I'm going to set this boundary. The way I was growing up was thinking that, no, it's fine. Just keep moving forward. No, it's fine. So to a point where I even lacked emotion growing up. Like if you knew me growing up, I would not cry in front of a person. Why? Because that was weak. Why would I cry? I don't want people to see me weak because that's how I was raised. You put your head up and that's it. And to an extent, yeah, like you be confident, you be you. But when you are raised in a sense of no emotion, it really does catch up to you. And that was where the boundaries didn't go, is like I was trying to constantly please and please and please. I still struggle with it. Sometimes I'm like, did I do the right thing? Like, am I being mean? And like I said before, like the decisions that you're going to make sometime for yourself aren't going to serve other people because it's your life. It's what you find yourself in a season. I've had to cut people off because even though I love them, I still do. I had to sit there and be like, are you growing me or are you not? Because some people could handle certain things, but eventually it does catch up. It's almost like when I was growing up, the boundaries were like, well, I always use this. It's a very crazy analogy, but if someone shoots you in the leg and then says, oh, damn. I think the zoo, if you saw my previous podcast, there's a dog upstairs and he's huge. He be running and running. If you hear him, like pretty soon I'm going to feature him. I'm going to bring him down here. But anyways, back to what I'm saying, like with no boundaries, it's almost like someone shoots you in the leg and says, oh, don't bleed. Just get up. It's okay. And that's how I thought that was normal. Like I genuinely was like, oh, just keep going, be strong. But that's not like realistic. Like you got to take care of yourself too. Because how do you expect to even pour love into people if you don't set the boundaries to pour love into yourself? And I learned that like life humbled me quick. And who you're giving that to, you have to cut off people that take your light. Because you are made to be a light no matter who you are. And so you have to really evaluate who is in your circle, who is taking your energy, and who's not strengthening you. Because the people in your circle need to be building you. And if you're not being built, you're in the wrong circle. And there's a lot of people I had to really sit and be like, okay, like, moving forward. I've had people that God just took out himself because, it hurt. It hurt. Sometimes God will put that boundary for you. It hurt though. And it wasn't until, I know why. I understand why you did that because they served in this season and now I'm moving into a different one and they can't go where I'm going next. And there's people that, family too. Like there were times where I had to set a boundary. I come from a single household. My dad left when I was around 11. And that was hard. And there was a boundary that I even set with him. I felt like, you know, if you know me, obviously, you know the story behind everything. And it was a lot of people telling me, well, that's your dad. That's your dad. Okay. Like, it's hard. That was what I was constantly battling growing up, was like, well, this is blood. This is family. Like, you got to stick together. And then I was just like, it's my peace. Like, it really challenged me every single day. My worth, it was taking up my mental health. It was constantly something I thought about. And I was like going back and forth. And again, Christopher was someone that, thank God that he was in my life at that time, because he had to be the one to tell me, like, no, like, you're taught not to have boundaries, but you need a boundary, because everything that happened to you, like certain things, was not okay. The way that people talk to you, not okay. And you have to be strong enough to set that boundary towards people. And whether they respond good or bad, God bless, the peace is with you. It don't matter how they think. You know why? It's not your responsibility. It is your peace. And so I just pray, like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just give it to God. And like, I pray that whatever this person, like, I set that boundary, that's on them. I hope they grow. Any person in my life that I cut off or I had to put a barrier on, like, some people might watch this and be like, oh, like, she cut me off, she did this. I don't even know if I should apologize, but like, if I did, like, there was a reason. Sometimes I do it because, one, it's a season that I'm in. And then two, another thing is like, I don't want my peace to be tampered with. You know, at the end of the day, I want to wake up and have peace. And if there's something that's really disturbing that, I have to evaluate why. There's people that still till this day don't even know why. And that's okay. Not everyone's going to understand. Not everyone's even going to agree. Great. But you wake up, it's your thoughts, it's your life, and you have to evaluate what's meant to be in that or not. It's going back to the gun analogy, is like, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. Like, it's not going to heal just by pretending it's not there. You have to literally medically heal that. And that is putting that wall, putting that boundary, and letting that heal on that way. Because if you act like everything is fine, that's delusional. Like, that's not okay. And that's what I was being taught, like, this delusion. And like, no, it's okay to not have that relationship with someone you thought that was going to be in your life forever. It's okay. That's life. Like, it's so precious, and time is so, so delicate. So use it wisely. Use what takes, like, make sure you see, like, what is taking up your mind. I had people speak things that were friends, speak things into my life that was like, whoa, I need you, like, no, I can't have that. And that was a boundary I had to place, is like, I can't, because you're never going to grow. You're never going to grow. You have to watch who your circle is, because there was a teacher I had, Mr. Leone, used to say, you are who you hang out with. That's true. So if you're constantly surrounded by people, whether that's family or friends, that are saying things to you, you're going to become that. And that's like, you're never going to get to your best. You have to make sure that the people, and sometimes the people that talk, like, are people that, like, what are you doing with your life? Playing video games? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for giving me your whole life advice and what I should do right. Like, some people really do be saying things, and I'm like, all right, hold up. Because, like, I'm all for, like, advice, but, like, what you saying? And that's something you got to look at, because I also felt like I needed everyone's approval consistently. And I was like, why do I need this person's approval? Who are they? Nobody. Go do your thing. Like, I'm gonna watch you, you watch me. Great. Like, it was something I just had to constantly remind myself, because I struggle with that. I still do. I still struggle with putting boundaries and like getting this approval from people. And I'm like, well, why? Like, it doesn't even matter. I have my people that I go to, and and I choose that wisely. Like, if you're in my life, like, that means so much to me. I care for you. And there's people who put boundaries on me, and that's, it's just what happens. Like, I'm not perfect either. Like, I've screwed up, I've done things, said things. So can't just be sitting here and say, I've set boundaries. No, people have set boundaries on me, and that's okay. And you also have to understand that people are going to set boundaries on you. Why? Because sometimes, like I've said, people's lives don't match with yours. You're not the main character in everybody's story. Everybody is living their own life in their own time, in their own destination, like their own journey. And you have to just let go of having the approval of people, let go of being like forcing yourself on people, because that's another thing. You can't beg to be in someone's life. You just got to accept it. Like, you're not the main character, and that's okay. It's hard. I mean, it's sad, but I think as I've gotten older, I've learned, like, that's something I've accepted, is like, people come and go, and everyone serves a season, like a certain part in your life, and it's just a season. Whether it's a season or for life, that's not for you to decide. And if you grasp, because what I was doing is I was grasping on like, no, like, I need this person to see it, or this or that. Like, even in my relationships, no, like, I need them to understand. Like, sometimes just let go, and what's meant to be yours is meant to be yours. But put that boundary, put that trust. Like, what do you mean? Like, if you are like controlling, it's just going to give you so much stress. I've been there. I've like not slept because I've thought of things, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I've had to learn that people's actions are not going to match mine. Some people are going to be freaking delusional, and I just have to be like, all right, you go do your thing. I'm going to be here. We're all growing in different paces. Like, we're not the same. Our lives are not the same. So do what you got to do in your life. Everything is always going to have an equal and opposite reaction. So there's another thing that I saw, I might butcher this, but it was something on like, it was a whole like quote thing. It was saying how like, sometimes like, for example, like doing the right thing, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard, or the way your parents acted doesn't mean that it wounded you. Like, even though your parents acted in the way that they felt right, it doesn't mean that it didn't wound you. Like, everything in life is going to have an equal and opposite reaction, because again, what is good, what you see in your life might be right, but in someone else's life, you just screwed them over, or you just hurt them, you left them. But like, and that's, again, it's a growth thing. Everyone grows differently, and sometimes you got to let go. Something that really comes to mind, and I see it now, but back then, like, my mom is a single mom. And so she went back to nursing school when I was around 11. And when she went to nursing school, mind you, my mom is a Russian immigrant. My mom didn't work. She dabbled with things. She was like a florist, but she didn't work. And she finally, like, when she went through the divorce, went to nursing school. And that meant I didn't see my mom for like 4 years, because she was studying, like, graduated like top of her class. I applaud her. That woman, she is the rock of our family. But there was a lot of things that went down during those 4 years. And even though she was doing the best for our family. Like as a child, there were things that hurt me. Like I didn't see my mom. Like I always make that joke, but like it's true. Like that could hurt a kid. My mom was growing up an amazing mom wherein she was at everything, Father's Day stuff. Like my mom went to every school show, every school play. So all of a sudden, like at 11 years old, 4 years, I'm not seeing my mom. My dad left, but now my mom, and I'm like, oh, and that hurt. That really hurt. But like I said, equal and opposite reaction. Like my mom was doing what was best for the family. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt. And so that's why I always say what you think, sometimes you got to do what's best in the situation, and it's not going to serve everyone. And I know that I see the bigger picture now, but there, the hurt was still there when I was a kid. And so, it's something that is very hard to swallow. It's very hard to just like see. And I've had lots of instances, even me, where I've had randomly just like cut people off because of a place that I was in. And I was like, I can't move forward. And it sucks. I've had it done to me. I've had relationships that I felt like, oh, but like this was something I wanted, and then it just didn't serve me. And like there were a lot of people that were disappointed, a lot of people that I felt like and it's funny because when the relationships were ending, I was like, oh, but like what are people gonna think? Oh my gosh, I can't do that. And I'm like, I look back and I'm like, who gives a shit? Like it was my life. It's my life. And I still struggle because I'm constantly like, well, what will people think? What will people think? Like if I do this, well, I posted this, but like, and I'm just like, it's exhausting. It was exhausting. And I held that boundary. Like I either just don't talk. I try not to even act on certain things because I'm just like, all right, like I can't change you. That's not my job. Your job in life is not to change someone. They will learn when they need to learn. You can keep someone accountable and tell them the truth, but again, have grace with that. But it's not your job to change people. Like everyone's going to do what they want to do. And you just got to keep going. You got to just keep going. And I'm like looking at my thing because I had like so many quotes that I like. But with that, like I think, again, I'm just going to say it again, like doing the right thing doesn't mean you're not going to feel pain. And so it's important that when you move every day and you do like your life, like it's okay to let go of things. It's not easy. It's okay with not being around people that don't serve you because everyone is going through a different thing. I also knew when I was growing up, I hung out with like wild people. And slowly I was just like, I'm tired of this. Like, I don't want this. So my boundary is like, I stopped reaching out or having people reach out to me. I had to like distance myself. That was the best. And I remember telling certain people like, I'm doing this because the lifestyle is not for me anymore. Like that lifestyle isn't who I am. And that hurt, like, especially because in the area that I was raised, like, oh, you think you're better? Oh, is that what it is? Like, oh, who are you? I was also someone that just always knew what I wanted in my life. And I wanted better. I wanted to constantly be surrounded. And I was constantly challenged with letting go of people. Certain situations, I stopped even answering. Like, I think when I realized, oh, I matured in a way was I felt like I owed everyone an explanation and I stopped. Like, I don't owe you anything. Like, sometimes I felt like I needed to get the last word on something. I don't even need it. It's like against my peace. Like, it's not going to do anything. Like, you're going to still think the way you think, and I'm just going to distance myself. I'm just going to let you do you. That's the best that you could do. I felt like sometimes all you can do is just say nothing at all, because no matter what you say, it's not going to change the way someone thinks. And you can really, really try. I've had arguments. I call it Russian rage. I've had Russian rage. Now I'm just like, all right, okay. I'm just not going to talk to you. When you're ready to actually talk or like do something, like, great. And sometimes that's never going to happen, and you have to be okay with that too. But When you move on, when you're moving on with your life right now, like if you're watching this, is just always know that life is going to constantly give you opportunities to better you. And to better you, that means you're going to have to set boundaries that give you peace, because it's impossible for everyone to just be buddy and good. It's not possible. You're going to run into a lot of people, and a lot of people think you could change them. You can do whatever you want. No, you can't. That's not your job, like I said. And you just have to have that peace. And with that, it's hard, but you're not put on this world to please people. That's not what you were created for. And it's impossible to please everyone, because everyone's going to have a freaking opinion about everything. Joe Schmo is going to say, do this. Larry from down the street is going to say, you hurt me because you said this. And it's like, okay, like the world that we live, the society that we live in, it's like hard to please people because everybody thinks a certain way. And God forbid you say something that is like, just something you thought like, oh, you can't say that. I've had friends that have told me like, oh, you shouldn't say that because like, it's just, it was not even anything that was like mean. It was just genuine. Like I could be blunt, but like some things are like again, I would say things and it felt like I had to change who like I was. And that's just not who, no, it's one thing to want to be better. Like there's been people telling me things that would make me a better person and grow. And that's great. You want people like that in your life. But if people are constantly trying to change you or put you down or make you think a certain way, that's just not who you are. Like, okay, like it's okay. It's something that people are meant for a certain stage, certain season, and you gotta just keep going and build yourself and be the best version of yourself. And being that best version means that there's not gonna be people that you thought would be in your life forever. You just keep going. And every person I've put a boundary or have put a boundary, like I wish the best in every case, because we're all learning, we're all human, and no matter what, even the people who've done me dirty, I still sit there and I'm like, I really hope that you become the best version of yourself. Because it's, knowing people's minds and how they think and everything and like what they've been through. I'm like, I can definitely see why certain people act the way they act, but it doesn't mean it's okay. Like just because you've gone through certain things, that's a delusion. And again, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a shotgun wound. You're going to have to really be accountable and grow and take that. And people need to also have like grace in a sense of like, people these days like are so quick to judge. Like humble yourself because you're going to screw up. I've screwed up. Like I said, people probably have boundaries. Not probably. They do have boundaries on me. I've screwed up. And people are so quick to judge, like humble yourself, look at yourself and see how you can grow. Because as much as you want people to grow, you got to look at yourself too. And you got to put boundaries on yourself too. And so every single day is a learning day. Like it's not like it's just like, don't be delusional. Don't. That's crazy. You have to really humble yourself. And sometimes that's ugly. That's ugly. No one wants, like, especially again, the society that we live in, everything's like perfect. Everything's like a quick fix too. Oh, you need something, like you're just scrolling quick. No, like your character is not quick. Your character is going to take time. It's going to constantly be worked on, and you need to have that boundary. You need to have that patience to grow. I mean, it's not quick. You have to really dig deep, and not a lot of people want to do that either. And so again, for me, I want to be the best that I could be. And that takes time. It's not in a day. I'm going to constantly have, just because when you work on yourself, it doesn't mean it just magically goes away. Like whatever you're struggling with, you're going to constantly find yourself struggling with it. But it's not until you take accountability and actually admit to it and grow. And that's the best way that you can be you. You're constantly growing. You're not perfect, and it's okay. And I think that at the end of the day, all you can do is truthfully just see those things, see what you can grow in. So yeah, that's my Talks with T. I really hope that, if there's one thing that you got from it is remember that you can't heal in a place that hurt you. And, doing the right thing isn't easy. And you got to just put those boundaries and find what is going to make you grow into the best version of yourself. And sometimes that's not going to be easy for other people. So thank you for listening. Till next time. Hopefully the dog upstairs, don't be running. But yeah, thank you guys. Also, you can stream this everywhere: Spotify, YouTube, my Apple. You just look up Mood Mixer, Talks with T. Look at our other podcasts. We're great. Hello. Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.